It's a breakthrough that brings us to a new level of performance. In the rain, in the snow. It even saves gas. Michelin's new energy tires with radial XSE technology. It's science that goes beyond magic.
We are back in New York, so the Vikings, as they did last year, have 2 first-round picks. Last year, they got starters out of both Dwayne Washington, a corner, and Todd Stussy on the offensive line. This year, they go with Derek Alexander, defensive line, and now another offensive lineman, big, and I do mean big, Corey Stringer from Ohio State, who was the 7th underclassman chosen in the draft thus far through the 24 picks. Let's go out to Brad Nessler, who's with the Vikings coach, Dennis Green. Brad?
All right, Chris, and with Todd Stussy on one side and eventually Corey Stringer on that other side, the Vikings are set at tackle into the year 2000. Denny Green's with me. But, you know, Frank Gilliam is the vice president of player personnel for the Vikings from Steubenville, Ohio. And I'm telling you, Frank's been here a long time. He runs the draft, and he's a meat and potatoes kind of guy. And he knows that Corey Stringer may have a few meat and potatoes in his body, but he moves piles, and 345 or not, Coach, you got a good one there, I think.
We really did. Corey Stringer's a tremendous football player, a big, strong, physical guy that knows how to knock you off the ball, and I think that's where he really rolls in our eyes.
You know, there was talk about the weight problem, whether or not he ballooned up to 345, but you got to look at what he did on the field the last couple of years, and, you know, there's weight clauses, there's a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, well, he's had 2 workouts really in the last month, and his weight was back down to 330 pounds, which doesn't make him necessarily small. The big thing that Corey can do is really dominate, and we look for him to play a right tackle, very athletic, a guy that likes to put guys on the ground. Again, comes to us with, we've had some other great players from Ohio State and Chris Carter and guys like Robert Smith, and we think he's going to be a very good football player. And we felt fortunate to get him because he was considered a blue-chip player for us, a guy that, as you can see, comes off the ball and normally winds up cleaning up his guys.
You know, he's a guy that you could probably move Chris Hinton out of guard, right, on that side?
Well, we can. We also picked up Rick Cunningham as a right tackle. So now, you know, it's very difficult for first-year players to come in and start their first year. Now Corey comes in, and we know he's a tremendous player. We'll move Chris Hinton to right guard, and then Rick Cunningham and Corey Stringer play the right tackle.
All right, you had trouble in the red zone last year. You got a player now that takes up half of the red zone. Good job, Coach.
We appreciate it. We feel good.
All right, Denny Green, let's go down to Gary Danielson in Tampa Bay. Gary?
All right, thanks, Brad. They really do have a good football player and a good athlete. This is a guy that was a man as a sophomore. He's a little heavy, but, you know, the last time I looked, there's a guy named Nate Newton and Eric Williams down in Dallas that really aren't svelte, and they're playing pretty good. I just can't believe that 345 is going to make any difference. I'd line up behind him and feel very comfortable. Let's go to Mark Malone in Philadelphia.
All right, thanks, Gary. You know, I had the opportunity to watch Corey Stringer last year against Purdue. It was the most dominating performance I ever saw by a college offensive lineman. He put the guy on the ground, his guy, at least 6 or 7 times. In fact, the man he blocked never got a sniff of the quarterback or the ball carrier. At 340 pounds, he's got extraordinary feet. He can not only drive block, but he's got exceptional hands and feet and can pass block as well. Let's take it back to New York.
All right, Mark, thank you. So Minnesota goes big offensive line to Corey Stringer. Miami, do they look offensive line as well? The Dolphins with the 25th pick are up next on the clock. We'll be back in New York right after this.
Maybe you shouldn't watch this.
All right, man, get off me. Y'all been nosy now.
But if you're not afraid, call this number now to get into pro football's private world with this exclusive new video, Total Access 95. Plus, you'll also catch this officially licensed NFL football, both free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. With Total Access, you go wherever you want.
Going into every room with a camera.
You'll hear things you shouldn't.
This movie is rated R. No, you're wrong. Don't language. Gotcha, dang it. Doggone it.
You'll know when things go wrong.
We need another receiver. Oh, boy. But that ain't my fault, Coach. Oh, man.
You'll have Total Access and a great football free when you order 54 issues for only $1.47 an issue. Save over 50% off the cover price. Use your credit card. Call now to get Total Access and your NFL football both free from SI. There is nothing in the world like Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
Who will steal the wind and rule the sea? The challenge has stood for over 140 years. Who will be the defender? Who will rise to the challenge? The America's Cup Defender Finals on ESPN.
Searching for an oil change you can trust? Turn to the one who knows your GM vehicle best. Your GM Goodwrench Quick Lube Plus dealer. 29 minutes or less, guaranteed.
Now for only $19.95 or less, get a GM Goodwrench Quick Lube Plus oil change. Use us for a change. Stop in today to enter the GM Goodwrench Quick Lube Plus Supercharged Sweepstakes. You could win $100,000 from the GM card or one of 6 GM vehicles or other super prizes.
Zima Gold.
What do you get when you cross a high-quality conventional motor oil with an advanced formula synthetic? A revolutionary oil that protects better than regular oils, yet costs 40% less than full synthetics. Durablend from Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline.
This NHL season, it's all crunch time. So when they ice it, hook it, save it, stick it, stop it, play it, and score it. You'll need to know. NHL Tonight on ESPN2. News, features, and highlights. Sports Center for the hockey addict. Tuesday through Saturday at 11:30 p.m. As the clock winds down, the season heats up on ESPN2.
With the 25th selection in the first round, the Miami Dolphins select tackle from Houston, Billy Milner.
All right, so the
next on the clock is Atlanta with a selection acquired from Cleveland.
All right, so the commissioner back up at the podium. Gene Washington had his moment of glory. Now the commissioner's back to run out the first round. 2 straight offensive linemen, Stringer and then Milner with Atlanta up next. Let's quickly go to Andrea Kramer down in Jacksonville. Andrea?
Well, Chris, the Dolphins had 6 linemen they really wanted to take at this 25th spot, so I'm sure they were thrilled that Billy Milner was there. Now, he has a condition similar to a stenosis, which is a narrowing of the spinal column. In fact, some teams have labeled him a medical reject, but obviously that wasn't as much of a concern for the Dolphins. What is a concern is fortifying the right side of their offensive line. They have Burt Widener at right guard, who's recovering from off-season ankle surgery, and of course, right tackle Ron Heller is 33 years of age, so Milner should fit right in there on the right side. Now let's head to Hank Goldberg with the Jets.
You know, there was a little bit of a connection between Houston and the Miami Dolphins. This draft fell perfectly for them because the 3 linemen they felt would be available or whom they wanted were all there. But Milner came recommended from Kim Helton. You might recall that Kim Helton was hired from the Raiders just before he took the Houston head coaching job. And this was his recommendation to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins gave him a very good, hard look. So they're very happy to get him. And now we go to Carolina. Oh, Chris Berman, I'm sorry. Sorry, Boomer.
I could be anywhere, Hank. Thank you. I've got Carolina on my mind. Billy Milner goes to Miami, and this is kind of, maybe you look at the 90 draft, which was just superb for the Dolphins. Richmond, Webb, and Sims, 1 and 2 picks, and both have been Pro Bowl. Of course, Richmond, Webb every year. So Milner was, as Andrea pointed out, a bit of a medical question with the neck. But Mel, pretty athletic for that position.
Well, I'll tell you, from considering the injury, started 22 straight games at Houston, and of course he came over from the JUCO ranks. Here he was in the Senior Bowl against Sean King, but he did have trouble in the one-on-one pass rush drills down in Mobile. Here you see him outside, getting down the field, and you see the quickness and the speed for a big kid who got his weight up from maybe 260 up to 290. Again, against Damian Jeffries, you see the base that he has. Very quick feet. That's what Miami wants in their linemen. They like linemen who can get outside, protect Dan Marino, and that's what they're going to be looking for Milner to do pretty much right away this year, Chris.
All right, so Milner goes to the Dolphins. Atlanta is up. It's got to be defense, defense, defense. Derrick Brooks, linebacker is my choice, Joe.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
You do?
I agree with you 100%. I think defense is the way Atlanta wants to go. They certainly want to shore it up. I mean, they got Eric Metcalf on offense. That's pretty much going to be all the offense they're going to need. He'll probably catch over 100 balls. You'll probably wind up seeing him in the backfield a little bit. On the defensive side, I think Derrick Brooks is the man.
Yeah, they need to stop people big time. Let's go up to the commissioner.
With the 26th selection, the Atlanta Falcons select defensive back from Florida State, Devin Bush.
Well,
Pittsburgh Steelers
we said defense.
select next and are now
Derek,
on the
we
clock.
meant Devin, didn't we?
I thought we'd said Devin.
Same school. Right. There you go. Same school. Well, they could need help anywhere along the defense. Plus, look at their linebacking core. They got Darryl Talley and Clay Matthews, who between them, I think, go back to Bronco Nagurski. They tackled him once when he was playing. Devin Bush is a hitter.
Well, they were scouting Derrick Brooks so thoroughly, Chris. Right. They found Devin Bush. They liked it. He really moved up really late. He was a junior who came out early. Nobody had a lot of information on him. They went back and scouted him and found a kid with great size who hit like a ton of bricks.
Yep.
Needs to become more of a wrap-up tackler, but this kid throws his body around, has good range, and his workouts were outstanding for a kid his size.
Well, you know what I liked about the simple fact here, even though Mel has him ranked 5th, you look at Pounds, Tony Jones, Thomas, Johnson, all good hitters. Atlanta wanted to stay in the defensive secondary. I mean, Poole went, Law went. So they basically, what they did is they stayed with their commitment to improve an area, the defensive secondary. And that's what June Jones is doing. He finds an area of weakness. He stays in it. Maybe the people he wants, all exactly what he wants isn't there, but yet there's somebody to get the job done for him. That's why he stayed.
All right, so Devin Bush, the big hitting safety from Florida State, goes to Atlanta. Pittsburgh is next, and you got to think the tight end Mark Bruner. This is one down at the bottom of the charts that everyone seems to have pegged because, remember, Pittsburgh's lost Eric Green. But let's go back a little bit to Bush and Miller and Stringer. Get a comment or two from Chris Myers down at Dallas. And, Chris, I know you're paying attention to these guys. I know you care.
And you know I would. And the Cowboys had all three of those players at the top of their board had they been there at their choice at 28. Now that they're gone, Dallas is working the phones. They expect to trade down. They have several scenarios. They hope to get a pair of number 2s. If not, Jerry Jones hopes to get at least 3 selections. He feels that there's not a player out there that can start for this team at that high pick. So therefore, they want to get a backup reserve player, not have to pay him first-round money in the second round, and still hope that he'll contribute on the special teams. Remember, Dallas, one of the deepest teams in the history of football in their back-to-back Super Bowl run. They've been hit over recent years, so they're looking for backup players, reasons that Dallas will trade down. Right now, let's go to Mark Malone with more on the Steelers, who are currently on the clock. Mark?
All right, thanks, Chris. And I understand Pittsburgh's about ready to make a pick, and that's understandable. They can't believe that the 3 players on the board they like the most are still there. Brockermeyer, Barrett Brooks, and tight end Mark Bruner, who might replace Eric Green. Although I think they like Brockermeyer the best, and they are in a tremendous situation right now. Chris, I know you've got the pick. Let's send it back to New York.
All right, Mark, thank you. Yeah, there's some value at offensive line, that's for sure. It's amazing that they would have those guys left at the number 27 slot. Let's get the word.
With the 27th pick in this draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select tight end from the University of Washington, Mark Bruner. Dallas is now on the clock.
There's some Steeler fans here. If we can locate them, they're all fired up on their tight end. You know what's amazing is that the 27th pick, we've all had written down a guy at 27, and that normally would mean certain things have to happen. That down at the bottom of the first round, he could be picked earlier. Another guy falls. How is it that we can't figure out sometimes the 5th or 6th pick with number 27 we've all had for a month? All right, Steeler fans. Well, they found the camera, have they not? Dallas up next. We'll be back.
Nothing is tougher on dirt than a 191 horsepower Chevy S-Series extended cab 4x4. Chevy trucks like a rock.
Announcing Taco Bell Border Lights. They're about taste. Ooh. They're about flavor. They're about 6 grams of fat. What? Skeptical? You won't be, because this Sunday only, when you make any purchase, you can get